Hey guys, it's me, Tico, and today I'm reviewing a locomotive I've wanted for quite a while now, Hornby's B17. I've been after a B17 for quite a while now, and I've been constantly searching for one for a decent price. However, in the early days of September, I finally found a listing for one right here in the United States, which meant that the shipping cost wasn't going to be over $30. The base price for it was about $125, which was way better than most of the other offers I saw on eBay. And now I finally have one. So without further ado, let's get right into my review of the Hornby B17. The B17s were 460 passenger engines built by Sir Nigel Gresley. A total of 73 B-17s were built from 1928 and 1937 and were meant to replace the GER B-12s that were no longer able to manage the heavier trains. They were sort of meant to be a smaller version of Gresley's incredibly successful A1 Pacific Express engines in order to travel across areas where the A1s were too heavy. These engines were given the nickname footballers because many of them were named after British football teams. There were various subclasses of the B-17s that were constructed, and some were even streamlined. These engines lasted all the way to British Railways, but were slowly being replaced by Thomson's successful B1 class locomotive. They were all completely withdrawn in 1960, with none surviving today. However, there is currently an ongoing project to build the next member of the class, number 61673, Spirit of Sandringham. The example I ended up with is number 61669, Barnsley. It's in BR green with the late BR crest on its tender. Personally, I prefer the early BR crest, but it doesn't change what I think about this model. The model, despite having a decent array of separate parts, feels very sturdy in the hands, but is mostly made of plastic. There are a few metal pieces like the safety valves, reverser rod, and handrails. But besides that, there aren't too many finicky parts that I would really worry about. The buffers are sprung, and the front screw-link coupling is already pre-fitted. I don't know if that was an addition made by the previous owner, but I don't really plan on adding a front coupling, so it doesn't currently affect me. Unfortunately, I found out that one of the cab side windows was loose in the box. But I don't really care about it, I don't know why, I just don't. I love the nameplate, with the red center being sort of a half circle. The front of the engine is very characteristic of the class, however I sometimes confuse them with the B1s. I especially love the valve gear and the wheels. I cannot wait to show it to you guys in motion. The tender is the longer variant, and I personally think it balances the look of the engines better than the smaller tenders they had. The cab on this engine is phenomenal. I know I've said that about almost any engine with a painted cab, but considering how exposed the cab is compared to something like the standard 4, this is a very nice piece of attention to detail. Overall, this engine is stunning, and I believe it'll fit in perfectly running on my layout. Speaking of, the performance of this engine is decent. It can't really do that much of a crawl, but when it gets up to speed, it is very smooth. In terms of strength, it holds up against all my coaches, so I have no doubt it can handle almost any train I give it. Today, I'll be pairing this beautiful engine with a set of BR Crimson and Cream Collet coaches. These are a new addition to my very limited collection of rolling stock, and I plan to cover them in a future video. Well, let's start her off. While she's running, I want to point something out about my collection. I initially intended to obtain at least one locomotive from each of the big 4 railways of Britain, and once I did, I would start buying whatever I liked. And I'm pretty sure my preference of railway is very evident by now. I didn't even mean to have this many engines from the LNER, but I guess these are just the ones that called my attention the most. The Southern Railway hasn't really gotten that much love in my collection, hopefully that'll change soon, But who knows, man, that GER Blue J15 Hornby recently dropped is calling my name like a siren. And this reminds me, if any of my 5 viewers wants to see me do re-reviews of any of my old models, then please let me know. I'd be very glad to take another look at them and explain any changes or battle scars that they've obtained over the course of my time with them. For being a pre-owned model, this Hornby B17 is scratching the itch I've had for years. It's delightful to look at and a pleasure to run, and for the price, this model receives a solid 8.5 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me throughout this entire video. I know it's been a while, and I hope that my next video will come out very soon. I hope you guys had a very blessed day, and I thank you all so much for watching.
Give a solid look at that wheel slip. Oh, never mind, it doesn't want to. There we go. That's cool. Oh shit, whoops.